Warning! Spoilers lie ahead. If you're not caught up, hit pause and come back later when you've seen Infinity Train Book 3, Chapters 9 through 10. This is some S-tier animation storytelling, so you'll want to see it firsthand. And remember, watching Book 3 on HBO Max is the only way HBO will consider ordering a Book 4, and trust me, you're gonna want more. Okay, I think we can all agree that Book 3's ending was a wild ride. There's so much for us to break down, from the origins of the Apex to that epic climax. I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and this is the ending of Infinity Train Book 3 Explained. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsor of the day, Logan Clad, for supporting us on Patreon. Last episode, we left Simon watching home movies in the dark straight out of Grace's brain. When Grace wakes up in the morning, she's prepared to say whatever she can to placate Hazel and get Simon back on her side. But unfortunately, everyone in their party seems to have already made up their minds. Hazel has finally had enough of the Apex's cowardice against denizens, and when she tells Grace that she's not going back with her and Simon, she morphs back into turtle mode and stays that way. Because she's turtling out, it's clear that she's deeply hurting, but she puts on her bravest face and vows to take care of herself as long as she can leave with Amelia. This short scene breaks my heart, not only because it's the last time we're going to see Hazel and Amelia for a while, but because Hazel is truly alone. Tuba is dead, Simon wants to kill her, Grace betrayed her, and Amelia just isn't the cuddly, nurturing type. Her sweet little turtle bean is only 6.5 years old. But in this moment, she makes the choice to be her own mom, her own best friend, and her own caretaker. That's heavy for a kindergartner to decide, man. After they depart, Grace breaks down sobbing, but she and Simon press on to the origami car. Once inside, Simon confronts Grace by using her own memories against her. He brings her back to her life before the train, revealing that Grace felt utterly alone before the train even arrived. Her parents clearly never gave her the love and attention she needed as a kid, leading her to act out by being mean to her friends and later shoplifting. Grace's family is extremely wealthy, and her parents appear to be some kind of diplomats or ambassadors. They're able to give her anything she wants, except spending time with her. She has a rotating cast of faceless caretakers, but her parents pass her off to them like she's just another inconvenience in their busy lives. Even when Grace steals a bracelet, her parents refuse to deal with her directly. Instead, her dad makes a big stink of their family's good name and won't even let her apologize for stealing. They treat her like she's an extension of them rather than her own person with her own feelings. Grace is clearly crying for help, and her parents are too caught up in their wealth and status to pay attention. Her father actually completely passes the blame at the security station, suggesting that Grace was never even taught to deal with the consequences of her actions as a child. Without loving parents to teach her and help her grow, Grace's bad behaviors were consistently reinforced, and she was never truly incentivized to become a better version of herself. I think this is why she naturally assumed that her number increasing meant that she was really good at the train. She's finally getting the attention she craves when she acts out, and although it isn't the same as having a family, she does feel rewarded when her number increases. With Simon messing around in her head, we see some of his secondhand interpretations of Grace's memories. His version of the truth actually distorts her memories, and Grace can't say anything that will convince him he's wrong. Because they were so young when they met, Simon remembers her account of meeting the conductor a lot differently than how it actually happened. He projects his version of the true conductor as a larger-than-life, powerful force, when in reality, Amelia's robo-setup wasn't nearly as grandiose. But that's what kids do! Grace told him the story, and he painted a picture in his mind that was totally inaccurate. The hype only grows as he retells the story to the new Apex members, boasting the conductor's powers and creating an imaginative lore. And actually, that's how the entire Apex came to be. In an adorable break from Simon's increasingly dangerous and destructive behavior, we get to see the story of Grace rescuing Simon and teaming up with him to take on the train. Simon is completely devastated when Samantha escapes into the next car and never returns, but Grace is immediately by his side and he trusts her. So when he asks her about her train number, Grace just tells him she's super awesome at the train, and their false narrative begins. Also, I kind of feel like Samantha's excuse of not knowing he wasn't right behind her kind of falls apart if this memory is accurate. How could she expect him to fit through that tiny hole? Did she think he was the champion of a Japanese game show? This Apex reveal was expected, but extremely bittersweet. We knew that as kids they created the Apex to form a protective family with other lost, scared kids. But seeing every turn where they went wrong in the past is both painful and kinda sweet. They were kids. They were just doing their best. And sure, they made some pretty horrifically wrong assumptions, but their intentions were never to spread lies or sow discord. The Apex truly believed that they were right. After all, Grace said that that was how the train worked. Why would they question it? They never had reason to believe that the information wasn't accurate. Side quest, did you guys notice that Simon's vest and Grace's bracelet from childhood are nearly identical to the ones that Hazel is wearing? I knew her outfit meant something the entire time. To me, this just proves that there's even more going on with Hazel's origins than we realize. She's a mashup of Turtles, Ulrich, and now Simon? How many more ingredients are in her that we don't know about? Dang it, Owen, you know I'm gonna tweet and ask what this means. But because you're Owen Dennis, you'll probably give an incredibly cryptic response, and I'll spend the next year of my life trying to figure it out. Simon finally confronts Grace about lying to save Hazel, accusing her of betraying the Apex, their belief system, and their friendship. Grace's explanations fall on deaf ears. He made up his mind about what he was going to do to her long before they set foot in this car, and there's nothing that she can do to stop him. He exits her memories and breaks the vial of memory bots as he goes, trapping her inside her own mind. Unable to escape, Grace is finally forced to actually deal with her feelings. Yikerinos, you could not pay me enough to spend an hour alone in my brain. She's confronted by her mind's projection of Hazel, who calls her out on her cowardice, her false leadership, and her selfish manipulation. Even though Grace tries to blame Tuba's death on Simon, Hazel corrects her. Grace created the Apex, radicalized Simon, and by proxy created the hatred and murder of denizens like Tuba. In front of a sobbing, emboldened Hazel, Grace finally breaks down and admits that she was wrong. She realizes that everything she did was a desperate attempt to not end up alone, but in the process, she hurt everyone who meant the most to her. Taking responsibilities for her mistakes and faults allows Grace to break free from her mind prison, and she awakens from her coma. And now it's time for the grossest scene I've watched in recent history. Grace has to pull the memory tape out of her head all covered in brain juice. I hate it. After repairing some of the little origami bird denizens that Simon stomped, Grace races back to the mall car to the Apex. When she arrives, she's greeted by a horde of children calling her a void. Apparently, no wasn't enough of an empty word for Simon, so he had to find a new word for a leader who is no longer fit to lead. Are contract law textbooks the only reading material they have in that mall? And, oh yeah, voids get wheeled. It's the new policy. Side quest again. Can we talk about how Simon looks like a hot anime villain now? I mean, like, he still sucks, but dang, those luscious locks look good out of a ponytail. Giving me young Lucius Malfoy vibes, His number has also increased considerably, and coupled with his updated look, I saw some fans online wondering if Grace had actually been knocked out for months. That's the first thing that my mind jumped to, too. But then I remembered, duh, Whitney, you still have to eat and drink to survive on the train, so there's no way Grace could have been passed out for more than a few days. She would have been gum food by now. And I don't think Simon actually had to commit a bunch more train felonies to up that number. Betraying your best friend is a pretty messed up thing to do. I think most of the new points came from that betrayal and the subsequent implementations in his new Apex system. Grace and Simon battle it out on the outskirts of the mall car, but out of nowhere, a Gome decides to join the fight. I had no idea that Gomes could suck your life force out of your hands. I assumed it was like a Dementor's kiss, but I guess your soul can be vacuumed out of anywhere. Grace manages to save Simon before he falls to his death, but he instantly repays her by kicking her off the platform. Intoxicated by his power and ever-increasing glowing number, Simon revels in his victory. The animation of his face in the scene was so realistic, I almost forgot I wasn't watching a human person. His full range of emotions were perfectly captured in a matter of mere moments. At first, he's triumphant, but half a second later, he's hit with the full realization that he just murdered his best friend. Unfortunately, after approximately 3 tears, he's right back to feeling totally awesome and almighty. Killing Grace upped his number enough to spread all over his entire face and body. And sorry, homie, but there's really no coming back from it. Simon is completely uninterested in facing the truth, admitting he was wrong and learning to grow. But hooray! The little origami birds that Grace fixed ended up saving her before she hits the wheels. See? This is what I wanted to happen for Tuba. Unfortunately, while Simon is staring at her dumbstruck that she actually survived, a Gome attacks him, forcing him to the ground. Because our boy's been acting like a real Nazi lately, the Gome goes full Raiders of the Lost Ark on Simon, and he dies of a very bad case of face melt. I kind of figured that Simon was eventually going to get got, but I had no idea that the Gome was going to explode after sucking his soul. Like, what? We've been on this train the whole time and never saw a Gome disintegrate? Why does this happen to them? Theory time! What if when a Gome sucks your soul, it steals your life force and uses it to become reincarnated elsewhere on the train? Also, was I the only one thinking that the Gome that attacked Simon was the roachified zombie of Tuba out for revenge? These two theories together could make for an interesting book 4. But that's definitely a topic for another video I'll be exploring tomorrow. Book 3 ends with the disbanding of the Cult of the Conductor. The Apex is no more. Everything they were founded on was born from a false narrative, and none of the kids were given that push to be better. This entire train is like free therapy, you guys. The kids are free now to use all of its teaching tools to become stronger, emotionally healthier people. And thankfully, Grace is going to be there while she works her number down to help them. Honestly, Grace really does have a way with kids, and I fully believe that she'll be able to turn the old Apex into something so much better. And if you really think about it, the utmost core value of the Apex isn't really changing. It's just shifting into something healthier. After all, the first 2 Apex members came together to love and protect each other on the train. And even though Simon is gone, the family that he and Grace started is still there. In the end, Simon was an incredibly confused, complicated person. He did some genuinely horrible, unspeakable things, and I'm not saying he deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame or anything. But the love that he and Grace shared as friends will never disappear. It's just being redirected to new avenues. Love never dies, but it can blossom into a different kind of love. That's the growth train, baby! Toot toot! I think it's pretty obvious that I loved Book 3, but I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Like and subscribe to NerdWire and stay tuned. We've got Book 4 predictions and theories coming your way next.